Let's get right into it. You guys remember that Buffalo shooting, where the young white supremacist guy walked into a supermarket and shot up a bunch of black people? Yeah, well, there's kind of some new news about that should really piss you off and get the tinfoilers among us to just start shaking their heads and be like, yeah, I told you so. So it seems as though this kid may have been manipulated by someone like-minded, or someone pretending to be like-minded, who seems to have kind of known about, or possibly even mentored the kid into these strange beliefs. Someone, who could it be? Wait, sorry, what? Oh, the government? The FBI? The feds? Los Federales? You got it. The Buffalo News reported this. Law enforcement officers are investigating whether a retired federal agent, imagine that, had about 30 minutes advance notice of a white supremacist plans to murder black people at a Buffalo supermarket. Two law enforcement officials told the Buffalo News that authorities believe the former agent, believed to be from Texas, was one of at least 6 individuals who regularly communicated with accused gunman Peyton Gendron in an online chat room where racist hatred was discussed, the two officials said. The two law enforcement sources with direct knowledge of the investigation stated these individuals were invited by Gendron to read about his mass shooting plans and the target location about 30 minutes before Gendron killed 10 people at Tops Markets on Jefferson Avenue on May 14th. The news could not determine if the retired agent accepted the invitation. Oh, I bet they couldn't make a determination. You know why? Because it would make them look awful. Look, if the feds indeed had prior knowledge of this, and it was a former or retired federal agent, because, how convenient is it for the person to be former if they get caught? Like, you remember in Mission Impossible, if they got caught, then they were disavowed by the U.S. government. Why was nothing done? Why was this not reported and preempted? Perhaps because the whole thing is now glowing in the dark, and they got caught once again with their hand in the cookie jar. Gun control and gun laws have been a hot button issue for years, but the shootings have ramped way up over the past 20 or 30 years. Do you guys remember the expose that Psychology Today did a while back, a few years ago, talking about how federal agents were involved with the Unabomber? And do you remember how obviously very recently we got that wonderful revelation that the whole Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot was so full of federal agents that the sky above Michigan was glowing like Aurora Borealis? Oh my god. This might just seem like another one of those. The article continues, these were like-minded people who used this chat group to talk about their shared interests in racial hatred, replacement theory, and hatred of anyone who is Jewish, a person of color, or not of European ancestry, said one of the two law enforcement officials with close knowledge of the investigation. What is especially upsetting is that these 6 people received advance notice of the Buffalo shooting about 30 minutes before it happened. 6. So there were 6 of them. 6 people who had ties to law enforcement that law enforcement knew about. The FBI has verified that none of these people have called law enforcement to warn them about the shooting. The FBI database shows no advance tips from anyone that this shooting was about to happen. Agents from the FBI are in the process of tracking down and interviewing the 6 people, including the retired agent, again, quote-unquote retired agent, and attempting to determine if any of them should be charged as accomplices, the 2 sources with close knowledge of the probe told the Buffalo News. The 2 sources did not identify the agent by name and cannot confirm what federal agency he worked for. We might be able to help with that. FBI. The Buffalo FBI office declined to comment on the investigation, and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Buffalo declined through a spokeswoman to comment. So, yeah, they're not going to talk about this. Of course they declined to comment. What can they say? Oh, 6 of our people knew that this was going to happen. Not only that, they were intimately involved enough with the shooter that he freely offered them his plans for approval and critique and validation. That kind of indicates that not only were they aware, he was comfortable enough with them to discuss the plans with them and tell them exactly what he planned to do without fear of repercussions. Who would have thunk it? Buffalo civil rights attorney John V. Elmore said it would be outrageous if it turns out that a former law enforcement officer had advance notice of the shooting and did nothing to prevent it. Yeah, it might just a little bit. If he did have advance notice, he had a moral obligation to get on the phone and try to notify someone about it, said Elmore, who represents the family of Andre McNeil, Andre McNeil, who was shot dead when he went to Tops to buy birthday cake for his 3-year-old son. Yeah, he did have a moral obligation, but maybe he had advance notice because he was someone who was manipulating this kid. I mean, obviously, if it was a decent person who had been told about this, they would try to do something about it. This is not a decent person. Attorney Terrence M. Connors, who's representing several families who lost loved ones in the shooting, said, "As outrageous as this may sound, based upon what we are finding in our investigation, it is not surprising." He declined to reveal the evidence his law firm has collected. Well, yeah, you can't do that. The New York Times reported May 17th that Gendron invited a small group of people into a private chat room on the messaging platform Discord to review his plan about 30 minutes before the massacre. The Washington Post reported 2 days later that 15 people accepted the invitation to the Discord chat room and were able to review his plan and watch his live stream video as he committed the killings. So they talked about 6 people. Was it 6 that were linked to the feds, or was it just the one that was linked to the feds? Because they keep mentioning this different number of 6. Is it just 6 that they found? 6 total people they found and only one was linked to the feds? And if so, how could they find the 6 but not the other 9? I want to know. So if it is indeed 15 people with 6 linked to the feds, what can they... Wait a minute, that's like 40, that's 40%. So 40% of the people knew. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but there's like, what, 35,000 employees at the FBI, I think is the number. And so let's just assume they're all field agents, that's still like a 1/10%, or no, that's 100% based on the U.S. population. So, wow. If those 6 were all linked to the FBI, yeah, that's a pretty big number. But either way, Elmore's right here. This is just absolutely outrageous. And the gall of Joe Biden to travel to Buffalo to offer condolences and go give his little speech. If it's indeed the case, it's pretty astounding. Like, hey guys, I know that our people are implicated in this, but we truly are sorry. Now be good little subjects and give up your guns. It's pretty despicable. So the article goes on to say that federal authorities are investigating if the retired agent provided information to Gendron before he went on the shooting spree. The 2 law enforcement officials told the news. Yeah, because we trust them to do that. But yeah, we trust them. In addition to law enforcement sources, 2 other individuals with knowledge of the mass shooting investigation have also confirmed that federal authorities are looking into the former agent's relationship to the shooter. They're also trying to determine the identity of an individual that Gendron calls Sandman and Sate Sandman in his lengthy social media diary that appeared on Discord 30 minutes before the attack. In the diary, Gendron indicates Sandman counseled him on manufacturers of AR-15 semi-automatic rifles and their quality. The shooter purchased and allegedly used that type of assault rifle, in the rampage, which local authorities have said was fueled by his racial hatred. In the document Gendron posted on Discord just prior to the shooting, he references Sandman 3 times. God, I really hate so much that these people just get to sit here and call AR-15s assault rifles with impunity, and nothing happens, right? Like, nobody corrects them. Everybody just is agreed that even though they're not, AR-15s are assault rifles. That's pretty cool. But look, it's pretty convenient for these people that Uvalde happened, right? Because just when this little detail came out about Buffalo, all of a sudden the mainstream's who's going to talk about this? Nobody's talking about this. It's all about Uvalde now. And the media circus has just moved on. If it does get mentioned, it's just that. It's just a mention. Talk about this. The populace needs to be informed how they're being used and manipulated. Great Reset? Anyone? Great Reset? In a passage dated May 2nd, he quoted Saint Sandman as saying, "When the time finally comes to deal decisively with a whole host of society's problems and not go to prison for it, you'll know. Just be ready. You've spent your entire life from the day you were born right up to this very moment reading this sentence, coming to where you are right now. Look around you. Are you content with where you are right now? Are you where you want to be? If so, continue to march. If not, what are you going to do? What's your plan? Get and keep your mind, body, and spirit right. Pray, lift, run, read, shoot, and teach your kids to do these things." I love that they added this because, like, even though it is part of that, yeah, but those things are all good things to do, right? Like lifting, running, reading, shooting, like teaching your kids to do it. Yeah, do that. You should do that. This isn't like a white supremacist thing. This is this is a thing that everybody should be doing. Obviously, this person was despicable, but those aspects of what they're talking about, you should be doing them. They shouldn't be associated with white supremacy. A third law enforcement source told the news that they are aware of Gendron's writings involving the quality of different rifles. The shooter ended up using a Bushmaster X15, a version of the AR-15 rifle, police have reported. Need some more words to get clicks on our article? We'll just say our AR-15 a couple more times. Here we go, because it totally was not the fault of the deranged and manipulated 18-year-old who did the shooting, or the ex-feds who manipulated him. Oh no, it was the fault of the AR-15, the gun legislation. That's where the fault comes in. We need answers now. But if we do get the answers we need, I'll eat my hat, because it's never going to happen. We all know that's never going to happen. You can follow me on Twitter at SeattleAJ, like, comment, subscribe. Check out the links in the description for Subscribe Star in the merch store. Help support the channel, and I'll see you next time.